Hello and welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. I have I know what it is now, Carbide 150, Fox Carbide 150 with a GY6 motor. I'm learning all about this thing. It's back on the lift. There's a starter problem. Not 100% sure what it is, but we're gonna see if we can figure it out anyway. Here's what we have. The thing will start and run, and it seems to run perfectly fine, but it will not start while the key is in the crank position. But when I let go, it's like it fires and will try to start. Let's see if I can get it to start. See? Right when you let go. So clearly it wants to run, but if I hold it in crank right now, it will not start. But you let go of the key and it fires. It should not be like that. Something is wrong and I don't know what it is. But I do have a wiring diagram. The wiring diagram. When you're working on stuff like this, the very first thing you want to check is the ground. So I highlighted the entire ground circuit. It's a big one. We got the battery. We have some grounds in the voltage regulator, ignition coil, stuff like that. And there should be a ground on the engine, but it doesn't designate it anywhere. So we're gonna check that. It's a green wire according to our diagram. And just make sure all of that is intact. Here's the battery. We've got positive, we've got negative. Negative is the green wire, like we saw in our wiring diagram. It has these extra black wires, but that's just going up to a tender plug, so we don't need to worry about that. Green wire, that wraps around and goes right here to the frame. Seems to be tight. We'll check on that, clean it up. There's a second wire that comes off, goes out and runs out and around and into the harness, which is going inside of this box, which I imagine the brain is in here, and all of our parts. So I will pull the cover off of that and see what we have. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we've got some wiring down in here. Oh my goodness. All kinds of wiring in here. That wasn't mounted very well. Hey. Oh. Found it. Think I found the problem. All kinds of plugs and coils and who knows what's going on. That's our ignition coil. Big wires go into that, no problem. Voltage regulator. Looks like that is new. Prior owner said he did have to replace it, so that makes sense. Then we have our CDI, which used to be mounted with double-sided tape. Does that look a little bulgy to you? That's not good. I bet you that's blown. We have blown the CDI. Well, there's a part number, MZ50. Well, that right there could be a cause for a weaker intermittent spark, so we're gonna start by replacing that. Really no sense in going much further. I've traced all the other wiring and it looks like it's intact, so that is a problem. I'm gonna order a new one of those. Okay, the new part is in. It looks a little different than the original one, so hopefully it's the right part. But I didn't want to bring the machine all the way inside just to check it, so we're out in the freezing barn to see if it's the right part. Let me try it. It's got the same plug on it for sure, but the new one is just smaller than the old one. There's a better view of that bulged out lid. That is no good. Let's throw this in, see what it does. Here, let's see if it starts while I hold it down. I'm gonna put the old one back on. See if it starts with that one again. Old one is back on. Interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna send that one back and try to get a different one. We'll follow up again later. I noticed while editing that every time I turned the key, the speedometer would go off. I'm gonna zoom in and look right here. Every time I turn it, the speedometer goes off and I let go and it comes back on. And I couldn't help but notice that that's when it started, was when I let off the key. So I'm thinking, there's a problem with my ignition switch. So I have the old one out and we're going to test it with a multimeter and see if we can find out what is going on with that. This is very tricky because I don't have my tripod, but you can see and you'll be able to hear that. There's the run position, and that's the start position. Okay, so we know that the red wire to the green wire is the start trigger, so the red wire to the white wire should be the ignition run. Stick some probes down there. Alright, the ignition is on, and when we start it, hey! It stops working. That should not be happening. This should be on all the time. Well, in both positions, run and crank. That's why it won't start while the key is held down. We'll get a new one. Brand new ignition switch is in there. And there's the speedometer. Yeah, we should be able to see both like this. We turn it on there, and now when I turn it to start, it should start, and the speedometer should stay on. Yeah. Well, that was easy once we figured it out. But I'm still gonna replace the CDI because that one is swollen. But I couldn't tell if it was a DC or an AC, so I'm gonna check on that real quick. Let me shut this back on. We're back down here. I've got the brains and I've got the old CDI. Remember, the new one didn't work, and I did some more research, and it turns out there are two kinds of CDIs. I'm learning all the time. A DC and an AC. So in order to find out which one you have to check pin 5 and 6 and see if you have 12 volts on there. I've also found that if it has one wire going to the 5 and the 6 right here, then chances are it's a DC firing one, and the one that I ordered before was definitely an AC firing one. That's probably why it didn't work. DCs are not as common from what I understand. So of course that's the one that this machine has. So I'm going to pop the pin off, which I see there's only one, which is another sign that it's a DC, and check for power on that one wire when the key is on. All right, I got the probe jammed into number 6. Number 6? Yeah, number 6, which says power. And the other side jammed into a random green wire, which I assumed was ground, and it is because, there it goes. I have 12.78 volts on there, so that is a DC firing CDI. I'm back one more time. I have a new CDI. I'm also losing my voice, so that's fun. This is allegedly a DC fired one, like we found in the last time, so I'm gonna hook it up, and then we'll try to start it. Why are the keys missing? Where did the keys go? I'm gonna put this in, and then I'm gonna go look for the keys. I don't know who stole my keys right out of it in a locked garage. Kids, man, I blame the kids. I put them right here so I wouldn't start it without putting this cover on. Got myself. Whoops. New one is in, and it's a cold day outside. It's below freezing. Let's see if it'll start. Oh man, that fired up. That fired up easy. Okay. I even held the key too long. Well, that's fixed. I'm just gonna have to put it back together. All right, well, that's gonna do it for the Go Kart for right now. Spring is coming. It's right around the corner. It's starting to look shiny and spring-like outside, but still a little chilly. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do with this. Either set lap times around the track or whatever, but I'd like to get that second one to fix it up and race them. That would be the ultimate goal, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to call it right here. See you on the next one. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer and every subscriber, especially you members. You guys are amazing, and we really appreciate the support. As long as you're here, leave us a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you anything, but really helps us out a lot. Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I reply to every comment I get. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching, and I hope I'll see you here for another video on 3-Day Weekend.